welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And it's just been like one of those kind of time periods where, I don't know, I've been like engaged in Dragon Quest XI. And I know that sounds kind of weird for what we're talking about. Well, actually not really. It's all magic. It's all magic, but like, Dragon Quest XI is this game that I've been looking for technically like over 15 years that has never existed because people weren't making them anymore, and they finally made a full-on turn-based RPG on the PS4.
Is that the one that has Kira Toriyama art style to it?
Yeah, I think he's been on there like since day one. He got in on the early days and just had that gig forever.
Well, it's Japanese, has dragon in the title. We know who to call.
Yeah, I mean, who else you guess? I guess we should call the Dragon Ball Z guy. You know, even though I guess at that time, Dragon Ball would have only been out for like maybe 2 years before Dragon Quest the first one when it came out. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, technically Dragon Quest, one of those games, like the only time I ever played Dragon Quest is when they were called Dragon Warrior, you know, the American name.
Well, it's probably one of those things like Warriors probably can help sell it better. So I'd actually never played any of those games, but that was probably literally the mindset. Like, you know, when Americans, they don't want to go for a quest, they want to go fight some shit. So let's just cut to the chase here.
They always say it's because there was some kind of like, you know, Dungeons and Dragon dice type board game called Dragon Quest, and it was all one word. And that was the reason why they changed it to Warrior. But I really think that, like, I think it's like, no, it's America. They're going to want warriors here, not on a quest. What, a quest for someone's balls? No, they got swords in their hand, and they're going to kill and murder and maim. That's what it's all about. It's not about you and your friends going out and battling monsters and going on adventures. No, it's about you getting stronger and conquering and killing. America.
Drawn by a Japanese guy.
Just like, oh god, this is just 4 Japanese guys sitting across the room from this like American executive who's supposed to do like distribute the game and translate it. It's like, do we want this guy translating the game?
He's wearing one of those like hard helmets with the beer cans on the side.
Yeah, but it's like really what it is. It's just like a World War II helmet that's like converted to a beer can.
Has the American flag as a cape.
Just strolling around, but he's only wearing boxers for some reason.
Well, he just knows. He's like, if he thinks negotiations are going to go bad, before he can say anything, he just stands up and just flops on the table. That's the cock of America right there. Then zips it back up.
So,
he guys wants easy access.
He's like, so you guys ready to make a deal?
They just stare at him, just like look back. They just turn around, speak to each other in Japanese. They just like politely nod.
It's like the scene from taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original one.
Like, no, we speak English. We are fine. Thank you. Thank you.
But no, I kid you not, dude. Like, this Dragon Quest game is just like the most magical experience that I've had in so many years. I've been telling people, I'm like, it's like the best RPG I've played since Final Fantasy IX. It goes back that far. Like, that's how long it's been. You know, and granted, okay, here's the thing. There's really good RPGs on handheld systems, but I'm going to bypass that and just talk about just the console world because that's been kind of like lackluster for so many years, traditional turn-based RPGs on a console. You know, and like the handful, not even a handful, like the, you know, the couple of them that there's been, they've been like good, but not like the game you've been wanting. They don't give you like that Final Fantasy 7 or 8 feel, or, you know, Chrono Trigger or something like real big.
You know what all it is? It gets down to it. I mean, I wish I played video games more often than I did. I just, my expensive hobby is comic books. So I don't find myself buying games as much as I used to. But I think more than anything, it's like, I don't know. I think kids this day and age have trouble grasping the concept of something turn-based and taking it that seriously just because, like, well, yeah, turn-based, like, well, some earlier games, like, well, your imagination kind of has to fill in the blanks, and it's kind of like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but on a video game system originally. So moving forward, now it's like, well, now we could actually make the guys move around. We can make them do backflips, do all this crazy shit, but it still has some aspects of a role-playing game. So I think that now it's just kind of hard for people to just jump on board that. Is this game doing good?
Well, here's the thing. This game is literally, this game is made to go, fuck you modern gamers. It is literally made 100% for like, hey, did you grow up in the 90s and wasn't it fucking awesome? Well, guess what? Let's go back there. Let's go back to when times were great and it was colorful and warm and stories were awesome and gameplay was fantastic. But guess what? You get brand new graphics. You know, and this game is like 100%, like, it doesn't bow at all to any modern gamers. It doesn't really have any of that kind of stuff in it. It is just all about, like, let's, remember the golden days. It is like the Reagan era of, like, making a game. It's like, you know what, let's go back to that time. Remember the 80s? Yeah, the 80s were badass. They had Transformers and shit. Yeah, Transformers kick ass. That's what this one feels like, but for the 90s instead. You're like, remember Bill Clinton?
People are just all scared of AIDS, but they didn't really know how it all like got passed through yet. They're still figuring it out. Like, oh, did they get it to you through eye contact? I don't know, maybe.
Dude, I don't know.
Are they Christian?
Did Eazy-E sleep with Freddie Mercury? Like, what happened there? Like, is there only... I just want to get this out of the way. I'm not interested in seeing Bohemian Rhapsody because it's PG-13. You can't... Really? I didn't know.
It's PG-13.
What the... When has any of those movies ever really been PG-13 unless they're made for TV? I'm going to give made for TV movies a slide. But... Because, like, okay, was the Johnny Cash one PG-13?
That one was PG-13, but it kind of held back. And I don't know if... I mean, I liked it when I saw it, but I don't really know a lot about Johnny Cash.
Was Great Balls of Fire PG-13?
That was PG-13. Even though I had sister fucking, it was PG-13 because there's no
cousin
sister
fucking,
nudity.
cousin fucking.
It's a
little bit lesser on the scale.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. I know Backbeat was rated R, but let's
any rap one is rated R. Any Notorious, Tupac.
Yeah, those ones are. I'm just trying to think of like more like just like the classic rock and that kind of same era ones. God, it's weird because the ones I keep throwing out, they keep being PG-13s. So maybe it's not as odd as we kind of thought. I mean, you just kind of expect it to be rated R.
You think The Doors. I guess.
Yeah, The Doors is rated R. There we go. There's one. Now, is Rockstar rated R? I know it's not like the exact same thing, but...
Rockstar is rated R. That's not based on a true story, but that's R.
Yeah, that one's just more like, let's just take a handful of stories and kind of combine them together to make our own story.
That one's R.
Okay. God, it's so weird to think. It's like I'm trying to think of my collection right now of all my.
Didn't he write Bohemian Rhapsody high on cocaine while getting blown on a piano? Didn't he?
A glass piano.
What?
It was a glass piano. It wasn't just any piano. I think it was like see-through. That's how I always pictured it.
So how do you make that? I mean, okay, we're probably past the scene, because, back in the 90s, like, you can't show two men kissing and have it be PG-13. We're past that point. You could probably have that now. But I got a feeling they're going to really hold back on that shit. I mean, he was just a coked-out fuck machine. You can't make that PG-13.
I think that should have been what the real title of the movie was. Coked out fuck machine.
But him just in that one piece, like V-neck thing with his fist in the air.
Just as like, and then like a little like words below, it's like a queen story.
Story of a queen. Well, I do like that line in the trailer. He says like, where one of them gets mad. He's like, Roger, there's only room for one like outrageous queen here, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, the movie still looks cool, and the whole idea, it's like, you practically never get, theater rock star type movies because they always seem to be made for TV, or they're like such limited release ones. And we look at things like Stoned, or like even like all the Beatles ones they made, or the Def Leppard one, and so on. So the idea of them actually making one is always cool. And I'm like, I want to be there just for that anyways. And the movie does look cool. And even if it is PG-13, well, that's kind of odd, but I don't know. Hopefully it'll be a little bit of slide on by. Hopefully it'll be like a hard PG-13.
I think what would be better thing to do, rather than just try and get someone's whole life into a little 2.5 hour movie. I don't know. I think that, this is one of those cases where I think either a miniseries is better, because you can kind of pace that out more, or you just kind of focus on one particular time. Like, if you like Stoned, I think that had a good idea. Just let's focus on the last days of Brian Jones's life. But it just went at a very weird, kind of awkward angle where it started bringing in conspiracy theory shit, and, it's just like, oh, we'll have occasional flashbacks, but a lot of it's just kind of like, he's just not really doing nothing, just hanging out at his house, and then for some reason we're really going to focus on the guy who's building the fence.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that one's a weird one, but I guess that's almost like sort of how Backbeat is, where it just focuses on Stuart Sutcliffe, and it's like, which I remember just watching as a kid, it's like, who the fuck cares about that guy? Focus on the real Beatles. Well, he's like the original Beatle. It's like, yeah, he ain't fucking around though, is he?
Didn't he actually play at Black Oak Casino a few years back?
No, because Stuart Sutcliffe's dead. That's Pete Bass, the original drummer.
Oh, okay.
And the reason...
Oh, wait, Pete...
I totally would have went to go see that, but that was back when we were in high school, so like you had to be 21 to go to it.
It says, remember back when I played this one? And he's playing like I don't know, Do the Shake or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That would just
like the one album he's on.
Yeah, exactly. God, I don't even think he is even on like a recording. I think he's just like, here's when we played in Hamburg. Y'all remember this if you were there.
Oh boy, yeah. There's this is when we were in the underground club. Is that what it was? The underground club where he was wearing like the toilet seat around his neck. Was that Hamburg?
God, and I don't even know if Pete Bass was
Cisco would know.
Yeah, he would know exactly. But I just know that like it's one of those ones like Pete Bass. Like if you watch I think because he's in the Backbeat movie. And then like they switch. There's like the moment that Ringo's in it for just like a split second. They're like, oh, here's gonna be our new drummer. It's like Ringo just sits up in bed and then just like sits back down and like that's it. That's only Ringo's part in this movie.
That's probably not too far from reality though.
Exactly.
You probably walked in there thinking it was like is this the drugstore? No, but is that a pair of drumsticks in your hand? Yeah, I'll carry them for good luck. Like, you go over there, give it a shot. Really? Okay. I don't know. I'm guessing it was something similar to that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure the actual Beatles historians can correct me.
But no, I still like the Bohemian Rhapsody. It still looks pretty badass, if anything, because biopic movies in general, always one of my favorite genres.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's good.
And I have no idea how this... I have no idea how he got to Queen from Dragon Quest, but somehow, some way it happened.
80s, Reaganism.
Oh yeah, 80s. God, I still don't even know how that got to Queen still. It just must have happened that way.
You said it'd remind you of, like, Reaganism, like, what happened to Freddie Mercury or some shit like
Oh, yeah, because it tied up the Eazy-E and the AIDS, and that gets us back to the 90s with Bill Clinton. God, that was a weird way to go around.
Yeah. I don't know how we got there.
But no, I kid you not, dude, this Dragon Quest, though, it is so magically amazing. The characters are awesome, the gameplay is dialed in as can be, the graphics look amazing, the story is fantastic, just totally amazing. Like, I don't know, it's close to being, like... I still haven't even finished the game. I'm not even probably like maybe even like a quarter through it or something, or maybe a little bit farther than that. I'm not too sure. But I would say it's already in my top 10 favorite RPGs I've ever played in my entire life.
That's pretty awesome. I've mostly been playing like small indie games lately. Not to sound like a fucking like pinky out fucking hipster as he drinks a craft beer or some shit. But most of the games I've been playing have been like cheap $20 games you can download on your Switch or PS4. Yeah.
Well, this is one of the ones like playing this Dragon Quest. It's like I liked Final Fantasy 15 at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong, it is. But when I'm playing just Dragon Quest, I'm like, shit, if Final Fantasy 15 would have just been like this, it would have been pure amazing. This game is like literally, they've been finally given like for everybody who wants a traditional RPG. And most of those go like, you got handhelds for that, old man. It's like, yeah, but what if we want to play it on a console like an adult? You can't. You're back to the boy stage again of life. Enjoy your retro games remade. It's like, God, why is this like 12-year-old like talking smack to me like this?
As he rides away on his little hoverboard.
Yeah,
but then you laugh because it explodes like a block later than the line. Like, fuck him.
Yeah.
I'm not calling an ambulance.
But no, it's just so cool that they just full on just went the distance and said, fuck it. This is who we are. We're going to stick to our guns and we're going to make this game. Because that's how Final Fantasy always feels. Is in the last, handful of years, Final Fantasy always like, oh, remember those kids that used to make fun of us for having turn-based games? Like, well, how do we sell a game to them? And it feels like they've been trying to chase that market their entire time. Is like, instead of focusing on the people that actually play their game, they're always trying to get like, oh, there was those kids over there playing Medal of Honor, and you know what they were doing? They were making fun of Final Fantasy. We can't take that anymore. We got to get those Medal of Honor kids. Oh, now they're playing Call of Duty? Oh, okay. We got to get those Call of Duty kids over here now. And it's just that going after that audience of like, it's always just weird to try to go after the audience that's not your core audience. Because I feel like in the process of doing that, you end up losing people of your core audience, and the people that you're trying to gain mostly don't care about your stuff in the first place anyways. It's kind of hard to, win them over because they didn't like you to start with.
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things that I can't always piece it together. At what point did Japan just start not selling as many games as they used to, unless they were Mario or Zelda.
I would say probably around the 360 PS3 time period. It seemed like Japanese, like, you know, kind of like culture started to die off. Because, you know, you think about like the late 90s, that was like right when like, you know, anime and video games and all this stuff. And it's like at that time period, we didn't really know, like, it wasn't like forced into us. It was like, oh, it's totally Japanese. It's just like we started getting into these video games and these animes and so on like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, you know why I like this? It's because I love Japan. And then you started absorbing everything. And that's when Japan's like, shit, we can sell anything to America now. And then it got to a point by probably about like 2000, like the late 2000s, that they're like, oh crap, now the Americans and like the Europeans are fucking taking over the video game industry.
Well, it's also one of those things where Japan, if you looked at earlier games, because remember there was that, what was that show? Because it was back when G4 and the Tech Channel, whatever it was, just would play. They're kind of like scrounging for shows. They had like their 5 or 6 shows. There's one. It was before, I guess it was like, I already forget what it was called, but Cinna something. It was kind of like an early version of YouTube where they just showed trailers.
Oh yeah.
For like random games. It was 30 minutes of just showing trailers for random games over in Japan or across the world. In some games, I just remember watching it, not really enjoying it, but just being confused. Like, what the fuck? You know, like just more mesmerized. And there were some games, I think the thing about, I don't know, I'm not trying to sound like a dick here because I know it's probably hard to make, I know it's hard to make a video game, but I think a little bit of it was quality control. Because there were some games that just, even you could tell they were like on the PS2 or something, like they did not come to America just because you could see, like there's one random game where it wasn't that great of graphics, but it was for the PS2, and it was just guys in office chairs, like it was a Japanese game, guys in office chairs going down this Mario Kart-esque course.
Oh yeah, it was like just all mini games based around like office life. So it was like the office space of the game. All right, office space.
Not even that. No, it was just a game that people were just racing on office chairs. That's all it was. And it would just be that kind of, just it'd be weird random shit like that, or it'd be a game that was totally bent around like, oh, there's hardly a game here. It's just all just bent around sex and fetishes or whatever. So,
which the weird thing is those games now are starting to like pour into the US a lot more than normal. Like if you kind of flip through like the Steam list of stuff, it's like every like 10th game on there is almost something that's kind of in that. It's like, this RPG looks kind of cool, and then you click on it, you look at the description, it's like, oh, that's the kind of RPG it is. Oh, let's go back a page.
I was surprised. I was watching, I don't remember, my friend had some kind of streaming service, and I was so shocked to see, like, usually you're used to seeing some kind of, like, ad for League of Legends or something like that. And it was some, like, paid to play, some pay to win cell phone game, and it was called Cunt Warriors. And I was like, wait, what? And I just double checked. And, it was I'm guessing it was an American thing, but it had the whole anime style of just basically a naked girl RPG, and it was called Cunt Warriors. I'm like, well, I'm sure it has its audience.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that audience is there. Because even, like, this sounds so weird, is even on the Switch, I'm surprised that they have games like that on there. I know they're probably not nearly as intense as that one, but there is a lot of those ones where they got these, like, on Switch, it's like there's, like, these, like, sex games just on there. I'm like, that shows up on the e-store that, like a kid looking for the next Kirby game's gonna see too. Just saying. Now I feel like it's 80s Reaganism. Like, oh, we gotta control the kids. Put the FBI warnings on the games.
Only winners don't take drugs. Bring it back.
Bring it back. You know what? What's the one thing that kids are afraid of? It's the FBI. They don't trust them.
Well, I think it was one of those things. Like I remember, like I'll come back to my other thought in a second, but I just want to say this before I forget. I remember if you like wait at a movie, like I really never read that shit. There was all the FBI stuff that you did slap onto a movie, like after the credits rolled. Mm-hmm. For what and they just put the disclosure like FBI like warning: if you make a duplicate of this, you will go to jail or something like that.
Yeah, or like
for some reason,
$25,000 fine and all that stuff.
Yeah, as a little kid, as soon as I saw that red background and the white text warning you, I thought that was, for some reason, I don't know why. I do not know why. But I thought that was some shit like, this is going to sound like some Alex Jones level shit. Like, this is where you. I didn't even read it. I just saw FBI and I saw legal action. I just saw those couple of words, and I literally like and I remember just like thinking like if I let it play too long, once it got to that red background with the white text, like it would send a signal, like the VCR was tapped or some shit. like guys in suits would come busting in, like there he is on the fucking ground, on the fucking ground. You let it get to the FBI label! That's a federal offense, motherfucker!
It's like you come home one day from school and you open the door and your dad's hooked up 2 VCRs together and he's like copping a VHS that he got from the rental store. You're like, Dad, no! Like you throw your book bag down, start running up. It's like, whoa, what the fuck's the problem, Ryan? And stuff. You just start ripping the cords out like the FBI!
Hey, don't ruin the video. We gotta take it back to Hollywood Video later.
Yeah, shit. Here, if I take
Blockbuster's too pricey.
I want to watch the movie again, but I ain't paying for another day. So here's the thing: we're gonna make a copy.
That was the thing people would totally do. They were just like, or they'd like,
Well, that's at my house. You had the 2 VCRs hooked up to each other so you could copy them.
You may not have liked the movie, but you made a copy of it just in case you did. You're like, it's there if I want to see it again.
You're like, fuck! I paid $5 to rent this. Of course, I'm taking a copy of it.
But no, it was one of those things where like we're just being so fun. I'm like, oh, it's on the red. Let's rewind it, quick. Let's rewind. If we get to the end, they might be onto us. Like I thought the VCR was tapped or some shit. I was only catching a couple of words. This is like probably like the first grade. But anyway,
you didn't have time to read it. You're too scared. There's too much paranoia.
Too much paranoia. Too much panic. No, but going back to those games, like those more like sex-oriented games. I think back in, early 2000s, late 90s, it was one of those things like, look, we can't, it's going to take a lot of money for us to, make hard physical copies and then ship them over to US or whatever, and US isn't going to sell it in Walmart or Target or whatever. And now I think it's one of those things like, well, internet's a thing, and people can, do their shameful business by their lonesome with no one around to look, except the government. And... yeah, that's why you see... I never really go on Steam, but I know that's where a lot of that shit is. Or there's a game called...
well, you know what they call it Steam, because, you gotta sometimes let off a little bit of steam, just saying. It's a clever name. I get it. It's like the marketing consultant that, I like... It's like, I got this thing called the internet. Have you heard of it yet, Bob? Oh, no, I haven't heard of it yet. Well, guess what? You know what? This is the new way to sell porn. Just saying. Well, it's so weird, like...
You heard?
If you look at, like, the 3DO, like, that kind of console, and, like... I kid you not, like 1/5 of the games on there are like sex type games or something like that. Or like one of those ones where it's like, it's a casino game and there's girls dancing in the background. And, they're all Japanese, of course. Like none of them came to the US.
3DO, is that is that like an old like 3D system or something? Or?
That's the one that Gex initially appeared on. And he was the mascot for all of like 2 days. And then PlayStation came out. He's like,
fuck Gex.
And he jumped ship. But, like, before the PlayStation, there was, like, the 3DO in this, like, little time period. And it's actually kind of a cool system, and it's got some cool games for it. Plus, it got an awesome Jurassic Park game there, so just saying. But,
fuck Gex. Fucking Crash Bandicoot is a Sonic the Hedgehog ripoff. Gex is a Crash Bandicoot ripoff.
But Gex came before Gex. Crash Bandicoot.
Fuck Gex anyway.
This is when Gex was still, like, in a 2D platformer in 1994 era.
Should have gone into like the insurance industry like his fucking brother.
Do you ever think the Geico Gecko gets that knock on the door at like 2:30 in the morning every once in a while? And fucking Gex is out there. He's like, hey, does the Geico Gecko even have a fucking name? Let's call him Geico. He's like, yo, Geico. Found some rough times, I heard that after they make the Spyro collection, they're actually gonna do a Gex HD one. He's like, they ain't fucking doing that. They ain't fucking making anything Gex. See, all going to the insurance company thing because, people need insurance. Here's the thing. Nobody needs Gex. They need Geico, but they don't need Gexco. So...
He's like, look, I just really need help right now. Like, what you need is Geico's first affordable plan. And just goes in this whole spiel, like, it's like this every fucking Thanksgiving. Says, how would you know? You're not invited to Thanksgiving anymore.
It's just like, for the Geico Gecko actually has a life insurance policy taken out on his brother. He's like, well, heroin's a thing, and when he dies, I want to be there to collect. I'm a business person. I'm a fucking gecko from Australia that sells insurance to people in America.
Look, I just want my money back. He borrowed a lot, and I know I'm not getting it back. This is one way I will.
Let's just say that the first 3 Gex games are still in the red.
If I can have just a little bit of sympathy, I'm still like, I had to pitch the life insurancy a very low price. Because he's not worth much at all. No one likes Gex. They're like, on the small chance the guy who created Gex by chance hears is like, fuck you guys.
Well, here's the thing. It's like I remember Gex being fun back in the day. I'm not saying that I know it totally was like jumping on board I will say more jumping on board the Sonic the Hedgehog like route. They weren't really going after like, hey, let's be the next Mario. No. They were totally like, hey, let's get some of that Sonic cash before it runs out.
I was seeing more. Maybe Crash Bandicoot did come out first, but he just seems like I remember seeing more Crash Bandicoot than Gex later, and Gex was just there for a minute. He was like not a one-hit wonder, but he was like, I don't know, if he had like a musical equivalent, it would be something like, I don't know, like, actually, I don't even want to say a band, because I'll say like a name of like a random band, and then they pop up on Joe Rogan or something. Like, oh yeah, man, things are doing great. I've just been doing this, I've been doing that. I'm like, oh, I can't make a Macaulay Culkin joke, because he's actually been doing shit, and so now I just feel kind of bad every time I say like some fucking random band. I'm just like, oh no, that guy's actually doing good. So I don't know.
Well, that'd be like, maybe Gex is doing real good. Maybe Gex is the Geico Gecko, and we just didn't know that.
Yeah. Like that wasn't his charred body they found in the burning car, like down in the ditch. Like he did like a switch.
Yeah, like the Prince and the Pauper style thing.
He took his own life insurance policy.
Yeah, collected on it, and now is living as his brother's identity.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah, he's just like, are you still Dad's favorite?
He like keeps the ashes and like talks to it like in the middle of the night.
Every so often, it's just sitting on the. It's not even like in the rest of the house where everyone else can see it. It's just kind of in the small little like attic. Yes, every so often, just like the light goes on, far distance from like door far away from the fucking the ash pile. Just goes over to it, just like, how's it feel? How does it feel? Like all the lights off, just this. You see kind of his shadow, like stretching across the fucking floor. How does it? You said I'd be nothing, but here I am, and here you are. Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? I don't know, but I know where I am, and I know where you are, and that's where you're always gonna be.
Oh. Good old Gex in those time periods and so on. But yeah, Dragon Quest XI. I can't say more better things than that about that game. That's all I gotta say.
Any Gex DLC while we're at it?
Yeah, I haven't seen. Well, they brought Bubsy back, so it's not saying that Gex couldn't come back.
Holy shit! That's like, there's some shit. I don't know. Clearly, someone clearly likes it, but I don't fucking. There's some shit like, why can't that stay dead?
Well, it's like we're at a time period now where it's like there's almost so many choices that like you can kind of sell things that like one time period. Well, almost it's like Dragon Quest. Like they stopped making those games in the U.S. for like a while because they're like, there's people they got their Final Fantasy. They don't need that many choices for RPGs. And then like when like later on, it's like they started like re-releasing them all in like remastered versions, like on the DS and 3DS and so on to like catch people up. And it's like finally it's like, oh, I guess there is an audience for this stuff. How about that? Where I think in like, the 90s it was just kind of like you got whatever, I don't know, it's ones you couldn't just go out and like willy-nilly like pick anything. It was like whatever your store had, that's what you got.
Hello?
Yo.
Oh yeah, fucking static.
Oh yeah. But you know what I mean? Just there just wasn't as many choices, at least in one period. And nowadays we have so many choices that you can kind of fill in these like totally tight niche groups.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of wondering if nostalgia is still going to be a huge thing come like 15 years. I mean, maybe to some extent it will be. I'm wondering if it will be as big, just because I'm just thinking now people can reach back and grab whatever they want from their childhood, and now the next generation all their shit's already online, everything's already digital. So will they just get tired of it way quicker and just move on to the next thing?
Yeah, that is a good question right there. Because, it's like you think about it, for every generation, from ours backwards, nostalgia has always been a big thing, and just depending on what decade you're at, you might have had, if you're in the 80s, you might have had hardcore nostalgia for the 50s, you know what I mean? And if you're in the 90s, you might have had hardcore nostalgia for like the 60s and 70s and so on. And as it kind of goes on, it's like people kind of go back. But, nowadays you can kind of, there isn't that like, there's a time period where it's like, man, I watched this show on TV. I probably will never see it again. You know what I mean? That's just how it was, and lo and behold, you can kind of mostly search out just about anything, nowadays and kind of watch it. It's like, example here is like, I was just watching, I saw it was on Blu-ray over at Walmart. And yeah, I could get it at Walmart. So fuck it. America. But, it was Outlaw Star, the whole complete collection. I was like, fuck it. I haven't seen this show since like 1999.
I loved that show. I absolutely loved that show. And you know what? I watched it right before I moved to San Francisco. I was watching it again for the first time in years.
Well, it was you have the old school collection where it's like got 3 episodes like on each disc, right? And you got like 10 volumes almost, right?
Outlaw Star was different. On DVD, it was way different. It was one of those things where the whole season was on like a third. So you'd have like 1/3 of the episodes on one set, 1/3 of the episodes on another 2 sets. So it was one of those things where most of the time it would be like, hey kids, pay $30 for a DVD that has maybe 2 or 3 episodes on it. If you're lucky, maybe 4. And the best special features are subtitles and a trailer of the movie or the game or the whatever, And then Outlaw Star, like, it didn't have anything really all that special for special features, maybe some concept art, but that one you actually got a lot of episodes, but since it was, anime, since it was like ADV films, and since it was also, you're getting that shit like at Suncoast, it was like $50 to get 1/3 of the whole series. And that's why I have no sympathy for something like Suncoast or ADV going under. But
no. They got what they deserved. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. So, because streaming was what was, But anyway, Outlaw Star was one that I remember rewatching it. Because I remember it was one of those things like my nephew, he was, my oldest nephew. He was probably coming up around like 11 or 12. And I was like, well, what's a show that he might like that's not super kiddie, but something he might like? And I was like, oh, he might like Outlaw Star. So I put Outlaw Star on for him. And sure enough, he got into it and he liked it. But I was remembering, this show, and there's some cheesy moments and all that, but this show actually holds up. It's kind of like Cowboy Bebop's less mature brother, because they're both by Sunrise Studios, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where if Cowboy Bebop's a little bit more eloquent, a little bit more thought out, Outlaw Star, it's another space western, but it's a lot more of kind of like, he doesn't have a coke problem. He just likes to party once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's still got that little bit of, it's just a little bit younger edge, but it's still like in the same ballpark. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if you like Cowboy Bebop, you probably would like Outlaw Star. And yeah, I've watched about the first disc out of 3 of them, so just about. And because as I said, like, I probably have not watched it since it used to be on Cartoon Network. It's been that long, and just kind of rewatching it again, it's like, oh yeah, like, I really do still like enjoy it. I think it holds up well, and it's 2 years before Cowboy Bebop. As far as made in Japan, it's made in 1996. But yeah, I was just really impressed. It's one of those ones like I kind of looked at it a handful of times at the store, and then like one day it's like, fuck it, I'm buying it. $30, it's a whole set. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna enjoy it. Let's just say that.
Well, that was one where, funny enough, Outlaw Star was my gateway to Cowboy Bebop because, Outlaw Star came on Toonami. I loved that show, and shortly after that, they led up to Adult Swim. And I knew about Cowboy Bebop because I saw trailers to that on like VHSs of other animes I had. It's like, oh, this is that Cowboy Bebop show I've heard about. And then people said, dude, check out that show. It's on Adult Swim now, and I think you'd like it. It's kind of like Outlaw Star. Like, how's it like Outlaw Star? Well, they're cowboys. It's in space, and the dude's spaceship kind of looked like Gene Starwin's gun. Like, oh, okay. So, that's something people would always bring up because it has that because the Bebop has that rotating cylinder in the middle, while Gene's gun is the caster, so it has that little kind of like revolving spot on it.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember people bringing that up. Well, that was also too. It's like at the time when Toonami was kind of first out, and we only had like, if you're watching Cartoon Network, the only animes you really had was Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, Sailor Moon, Outlaw Star, and then the only other thing I think of is what's that show? The Gatchaman one. They didn't call it Gatchaman in the U.S., but that's
Big O.
Not Big O wasn't yet, because that was a Adult Swim show.
No, it started off on Toonami. I remember because I had a bitter hatred for Big O because that replaced Outlaw Star.
Oh, okay. Well, then that must have came later. I'm thinking of like the original block. No, they had the show that was it was the one where it was like pretty much like Voltron, but they were birds instead, from the 70s.
You got a little staticky there for a minute, but I heard you say Voltron. Like, yeah, they started off with a lot of 80s shit, but as it went on...
Yeah, like that. The one, what I'm saying is it's the one, it's like they're birds, but it's like kind of in that Voltron style. As I said, it's called Gatchaman in Japan, but like in the US, it had like... God, I can't think of what the name was, but whatever.
Silverhawks or some bullshit?
Something like that, but I think that was actually a different one, too.
But anyway, I remember, the whole thing with Big O, I had like... Fuck.
Big O.
Hello?
Yeah, here.
Fucking Skype. Anyway, yeah, the whole thing with Big O, I remember I hated that show for a little while, not because it was such a bad show, but it was one of those things where Outlaw Star ended, and I missed the last episode, and I was just like, well, whatever, I'll just rewatch it again, so it should be starting off from the first episode again, and then Big O was the next one. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? How could? And I was like, I'm never ever gonna see it again, because Big O took that from me. And then later, of course, they eventually replay it, and I see that final episode. But no, I mean, Outlaw Star is one of those shows where what's interesting about it is it seemed like one of the few times, at least I saw in anime, where they're trying to do like a Star Wars-esque universe, because it really does try to world build, and it really does like bring up particular planets and certain aliens and kind of go into detail about them and tries to lay down this... Like, apparently that show is lightly a spin-off from... Because the guy who made that show made a manga before it, and it is like... It's just about some other guy who's a treasure hunter, but it's just, it's just about that guy, and this happens to take place in the same universe. And apparently, if you watch it long enough, you'll see nods and references to that guy or people he knew. And I don't remember what it was called, but yeah.
Oh, that's pretty sweet then. Huh. See, because that's kind of cool, because it's like Outlaw Star is like, that wasn't like that was more like one of those shows where I felt like I kind of watched it. I didn't watch it like as religiously as, say, Dragon Ball Z or Gundam Wing or something like that, but I still liked it a lot, and I would still, catch it, but maybe I didn't see every single episode always, kind of like, I feel like that's the same way kind of Trigun was. Like, I'd catch it and I'd watch it, but if I missed it, it wouldn't be like life and death, like if I missed like something like Full Metal Alchemist or Cowboy Bebop or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, it's cool going back.
It's definitely a show that actually holds up more than I thought it would. And, it's probably not one you could just show anybody. I'm going to say I think you could show just about anybody Cowboy Bebop. Not now anybody, but just about anybody.
Yeah.
Outlaw Star, I think you have to be a little bit more open to anime to jump into that, because it still has a lot of the anime-ish type things, like certain posing and the whole, villain who likes to monologue, and like, so I see you've outlasted my plan, or whatever, that whole kind of thing. And, every episode, they're kind of running into like a weird kind of like gang with a gimmick of some sort. So it's one, and I know that's not exclusively an anime thing, but there's certain styles that anime uses a lot, and Outlaw Star brings that out every so often. So
yeah, I would still say it's pretty toned down compared to some other stuff, but yeah, it is kind of in that similar style. But speaking of an animated movie that was just pure amazing, that also just came out of the blue with like little to no advertising, or at least, some people will tell you it's advertised, but obviously not advertised in the right places. That's all I have to say. But is the new DCU Constantine flick. And boy, I don't know. This one to me might be like top 5 best DCU movies of all time. I've watched it twice so far, and I love it.
I spill my own blood now to show respect. Thank you for letting me into your house. Thank you for hearing.
I've been keeping tabs on you, Constantine. And I've been keeping innocent little Trish.
Bastard! Where is she?
She's somewhere in the bowels of hell, screaming your name.
I want my little girl, and if anyone can get her back, it's you.
Lovely.
You have no idea what's out there.
We're messing with deep, dark magic here.
This could destroy my city. I need your demons to fight these demons.
I'm gonna need a weapon.
Remember what you said about sacrificing anything for Trish? Did you mean it? Yes!
If there's one thing I've learned over the years, is that there are no happy endings. There never are. There's always a price to pay.
Jesus, John. Are you all right?
No. But I'm alive, and that's got to count for something, right?
You know what this one is and why we didn't see anything advertised for it?
Mm-hmm.
Want to know one of the reasons we didn't see stuff advertised for it as much?
Uh-huh.
This is actually part of the... They've been having those CW animated movies, because what those CW animated movies are is they're apparently these like animated shorts they put on their streaming service. And this Constantine movie, it's just all the episodes of that put together.
It's kind of weird because, like, it's like I've watched all those ones, and like when you see it in movie form, you're like you can't even tell it was like done in parts. It just feels like a totally like solid film. Like every single one of them, Vixen, even that weird one that they made, or not weird one, but the other one they made like just recently called Ray, which I thought was kind of weird. It's like, okay, let's make a superhero, and he's like, oh, he's gay, but like, why'd you call him Ray? That's instantly they're gonna call him Gay Ray. It's just like you always got to think like childhood, like 10-year-olds on the playground. Like, what's the safest name for certain things? You don't call a guy who's gay or a guy who's gay Ray, because it's just asking for trouble. You know what I mean?
That kid grew up in the 90s, definitely. Maybe not as much now, but in the 90s, that definitely was.
Oh, God, yeah. You would change your name if you were in the 90s and you happened to be gay and your name was Ray. You know, I mean, it wouldn't work out for you that time period. But that one wasn't bad, too. That was actually kind of interesting. Did you watch the Ray one? Yo.
Yeah. Sorry, really staticky again.
Did you watch the Ray one? It's got Nazi Supergirl in it.
What was that?
Did you watch Ray? It had Nazi Supergirl in it.
No, I didn't see Ray. I missed that one. That was one of those ones where, I'll be honest with you, it's one of those things where, since it's Arrowverse stuff, and not that Arrowverse is bad, and I'm sure it's decent, but it's one of those things I don't feel as obligated to watch it because, oh, here's just what's going on in the Greg Berlanti universe or whatever it is, and I mean, I'm sure it's decent, but I guess the Constantine one kind of links in. It's kind of like they said they left it kind of like up to the viewer whether this takes place in the pre-existing DC animated universe or if this is the Greg Berlanti universe.
Well, it's like, for me, it's like one of those ones, like, because I've kind of like lost like, connection to like the Arrow and Flash, and once there was just too many shows and just too much, it was just too overwhelming. And it's not there's anything really wrong with it. It's just to a point. It's like, oh, that's just too much to keep up with. You know what I mean? Like, you got to throw out a bunch of other things if you want to watch all those. But I'll watch all the DCU ones because I'm at this point where it's like I own every single movie. There's like no way I'm not gonna like get one of them. And the thing is, even at the end of the day, even if it might be connected to there, they still feel like a DCU movie more than anything else. They never feel. It feels more DCU than it does like an Arrow or a Flash episode, if that makes sense. It just kind of happens to take place in that sort of universe. But this Constantine one, though, is just like so good. And like, really, yeah, it feels like it could be like the sequel to sort of like the Constantine show / even like Justice League Dark. but not like nothing that like connects it enough that like, oh, you had to see, you know, this or that to like, you know, be caught up.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing about this one is, I mean, lately DC has had no problems going R. So the fact this was on like the Berlanti, this was like, you know, set on that like streaming app, which all these CW shows, surprises me. But this one right here, I mean, I don't know if it's top 5 for me, but it's definitely really good. And I don't know as much about Constantine as I do other stuff, but I do like they're kind of just taking this more interesting direction and just focusing on, you know what, we're just going to do a Constantine movie. Why? Because we fucking feel like doing a Constantine movie. And like, even like, what was it? They did a Suicide Squad movie a little bit ago, and they also did a, there's another character that I just wasn't expecting them to make a movie of, but they did. What was there another one, like an oddball one that kind of surprised us a little bit?
I remember kind of recently, just the Ray and Constantine one, because that's the thing, is like I always like when they just do the straight up like the single character movies. Like, we know we've always kind of referred to like, you know, like the Green Arrow, the Green Lantern ones, you know, back then, or like the Wonder Woman one they made initially on. Like, I always like those a lot more than like the straight up Justice League ones where it's like, let's get a bunch of characters in there once. It's not that those aren't bad, but like I like when they just kind of focus on one character and let them kind of run around their world.
Yeah, I like that too. And but there's one, you know, I think I'm confusing it with. I think I was thinking of the something else for a second. I think I was thinking of the Vixen one for a second.
Oh yeah,
because the Vixen, that does seem kind of out of nowhere, even though they do plug that in the Greg Berlanti verse right there. But this one right here, I was surprised how violent it got, because they have no problem just going full tilt R with this by this point. And like, it was like, this is more than like, because I'll say this, the Constantine movie, you know, I have to kind of remind myself I'm watching Constantine, but it wasn't really that scary. It didn't feel like that much like a horror film. It just had to feel like a fantasy movie with a couple of horror moments in it, or elements, where this one feels more like a horror movie than anything else.
Oh, yeah, and this one, it's like, it's kind of funny just because these DCU movies have just slightly, like, every single one, they kind of raise the bar one more notch on how far they can push the envelope of rated R in an animated movie. And this one, I feel like, goes even farther in that distance. Because is this the first one that anybody's ever said fuck in before? It sounds so weird to think about like that.
No, they said, the first one they said fuck in, I want to say, was Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay, because that's where, like, Zoom gets shot in the head and he's like, fuck my life, and just falls over dead.
That's right. I couldn't remember, but yeah, that, because that one also pushed the envelope pretty high up too, you know. So yeah, that was there. But then this one just got like tons of like, you know, weird violence and stuff going on. I mean, there's a part where there's a guy, like, there's like all these bodies just tied up as like instruments almost, and people are just banging on them and so on. There's those guys like ass is sticking up in the air and bats are flying out of it for God knows why, but it's just going on. Oh, it just makes me laugh every single time I see that scene.
What scene?
The part where the guys
just got static.
The guy's like ass is sticking up in the air and there's like bats flying out of it.
Oh, right, yeah.
I laughed so hard when I saw that. It's just like, okay, cool. It's one of those. But no, I just like, it's just like this story, and it's like, it's just such a good story. I mean, the thing's also 90 minutes long too, so it's like, you know, pretty darn long for one of these DCU ones. Like, technically like a real full-length movie. And it's just got this story of, like, you know, Constantine's best buddy, who was like in his band when they were like kids and so on. Like, his daughter's been pretty much captured by a demon and so on. They're trying to free her and get her out of this coma and so on. And as the process, they kind of got to, you know, battle other demons and, you know, meet and talk and do the usual Constantine thing where he's kind of like sort of like investigating things like a noir guy, but then having to like make shady deals and all kinds of weird stuff that he'll have to go through to get to the next level, and like what's gonna happen. Like, everything's always got like a price and a consequence for what he does.
You know that character, the guy that's going along with him?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who played him in the movie?
And the Keanu Reeves movie?
Yeah, you know who played him?
God, I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched that one.
Shia LaBeouf.
Really? God, I totally even forgot he was in that one. Well, we'll have to pull Constantine out and do we have to do a retrospect on that one at some point. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, I didn't even really know a whole lot about Constantine when going to see that one, like, I knew it was based on at first, when I first saw the trailer, I didn't even know it was based on a comic book. That was before I even read comics. But then I was like, oh, this is a DC Comics character. And then seeing the movie, like, oh, that was a good movie. But then looking at the actual comics and comparing it, it's one of those things like, it's good as a movie. It's an enjoyable movie. But the fact some of the things they did change, is just kind of irritating. They're not hard fixes. It's like, get a British dude with blonde hair, and maybe he doesn't have to be in England. Maybe he's just on an assignment in the United States. Beyond that, but it's very simple fix. But of course, you gotta, they like, well, people won't get it if it's in England. We'll get you confused if it's a British guy. Like,
yeah, we'll have to put subtitles up on the movie. We won't be able to understand it. We'll probably have to dub it over and everything like that. Like, that's always makes me laugh about like the original Mad Max, how they had to dub it over because it was in Australian. And you're like,
well, I just imagine some producers just being like, have you ever seen a Guy Ritchie movie? I've seen like the first 5 minutes of one. I couldn't get through it. I was confused.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, I feel like the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie, I just look at it like as is. Like, I don't try to go like, oh man, they should have done this and then why didn't they do it? I mean, like, it's just kind of like it's in the past and it's sort of what it is. But that movie though, like at the same time, like what I always give that movie credit for is that's what's pretty much introduced people to Constantine. Like, I don't think you'd almost even get this movie, the DCU animated one, if it wasn't for the Keanu Reeves one. It sounds weird, but that, like, created sort of a snowball effect to finally get to, like, making the Hellblazer character a much bigger character as time has gone on.
Well, yeah, it is an enjoyable movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but it's one of those things when you hear some of the reasoning, they change the things they did, like, that's stupid. Like, well, let's make his best friend a kid. I'm like, all right. But it's just kind of funny knowing that, oh yeah, Shia LaBeouf played that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He was his little sidekick in that one. This one, he's more of like his friend who just kind of keeps him in check. And I'll say though, I don't know do you know much about Constantine? Because I've only what I know of him is whenever he rolls by in a comic for a minute, saying, "Hey, what's up?" to like leave later, like in Swamp Thing or occasionally Batman. Do you know though? There's the whole thing. Spoilers ahead, folks. There's the whole thing where he was, practicing witchcraft, and then to take down some Satanist, he got cocky and summoned a demon. That demon killed like everybody in that club, and violently. Like, I just thought it was gonna like, just show him slash 2 or 3 people and then like cut away.
No.
But the fact they show him like grabbing ladies, biting their heads off, and just going through this whole crowd. Like, I was surprised when they actually showed violence, because usually, not always, but usually they kind of shy away from violence from women in this, I notice. That's why I was so sad to see him like slice a lady's head off at one point,
Yeah, no, they go to town on the violence. The violence is so good in this thing. But yeah, like I have 2 Hellblazer books. I really don't have that many. And I don't know why. I've always been interested in Constantine. And it's just one of those ones, I think, like all comics, you only have so much money and so many like books you can always buy, that sometimes, things that you kind of want always get kind of put on, like, the back burner. And I think that's why I've just never, gotten more Constantine books. But I don't know why I don't, because this movie almost kind of reminds me of, like, why I like Constantine so much, And that's just saying it not, like, as a huge fan, but just being, like, one of those ones, like, it's just such a cool character, such a great concept. Like, everything about it just makes you want to see more. It's like the TV show that came out for, like, it's all of its glorious, like, 13 episodes or whatever. Super good. Like, that one was so dialed in, but sometimes I will say, I think demonic stuff is always a hard sell. Because there's the tight-knit audience that loves that kind of stuff, but the regular audience is kind of put off by it. They're like, oh, that's where Satan lies. I guess we shouldn't go near that, honey. And I think that's why those shows, why those movies, because think about it, every single time there's ever been like a demonic movie, they never really do that great. They do okay enough that maybe they might be able to make something else out of it, but it's never like a blockbuster, you know what I mean? Like, dude, did you see the last Satan flick that came out? Like, oh, dude, I had to be there. It was like Avengers ×2. It's like, no, you never get to that point.
I remember having this one friend who was total, like, hardcore right-wing family, and he wanted to see Constantine, and they're like, oh, we don't know, it looks like a devil movie. And he's reading the novelization, and there's the part when he's like reading the movie novelization, and there's the part when he's being dragged up to heaven, and then he flips off the devil as he's going up, and then the devil, like, pulls him back down, saying no, and he cures him of his cancer. He's like, no, you're staying here with me, or whatever. that scene in the book, apparently, according to this guy, God makes him flip him off, which I think that kind of takes away from it. I'd like to think it was just Constantine, like, fuck you, as he goes up, you know? But,
yeah, exactly.
Regardless, though, like, he's like, you know, he managed to sell that to his family, saying, well, there's a scene where, like, God makes the main character flip off the devil. Isn't that awesome? Like, oh, that does sound mighty fine. Maybe we'll give this Constantine boy a chance. I don't know if I trust this Keanu Reeves guy. He looks like he's a quarter Asian. But if Jesus is in it, though, we could probably give it a chance.
Yeah.
So they go and see the movie, and they come back loving the movie, even though, like, you know, I didn't like the violence, and I didn't like the language, but I liked what the movie had to say. I really enjoyed that. So just saying that those people were kind of like, they came out really liking it, but still were kind of on the fence. Like, if only it didn't have that language, that would have been better.
And that's the thing, though. It's just like, it's just hard to sell demonic stuff to like a wide audience. And I think that's also, at the end of the day, why it's just maybe hard to finally get Constantine really out there. It's like you can see they keep trying it. They're like we're gonna get Constantine into people's hands, and you know, I think that the DCU is probably the best way to kind of do it with the kind of the animated stuff, because I feel that audience is probably your closest audience that will pretty much buy anything that you kind of put out there of Constantine. You know, I think when the TV show came out, I think it was a couple of things too. One, it was on like CBS, which was like an odd station to be having this Constantine show. It was like so far away from like all this rest of it's like Warner Brothers, like, you know, kind of TV shows and so on. And it was on like a Friday night, though I don't think that makes as much of a difference as it once used to. You know, in the olden days, it used to be Friday night was like the worst night to be a TV show. Nowadays, like, I kind of hard pressed to think that that would be bad. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, who cares? If, you know, either you're going to watch it streaming, or if you have TV still, you're going to just, like, automatically have it taped. You know what I mean? Like, does it really make a difference what day it comes on? I mean, your show could come on at 3 in the morning, and, like, would that be a big deal anymore?
I don't know, actually. I think for some people it would, because some people still don't have streaming services. But I think it's also more of just one of those status things. For a long time, I remember Smallville was, like, a Wednesday night show, and then in its later seasons, it became a Friday night show, and the only thing keeping that going was dedicated fans, because it didn't get the greatest. It just made enough ratings to get by, and fans of it really liked it. It was one of those shows, like, now it might be hard to go back and watch, but it was one of the few shows where it's actually, there was a superhero show, and because that show, it kind of like was the only one for a while. Now it might be hard to watch, but can't forget, like, oh, well, there's a period where we didn't have, like, 15 or 20 superhero shows on at the same time.
Yeah, we used to not have choices. Remember this, kids.
No, because there was a point in the show, because I was just, like, watching it, like, oh, wow, they have Cyborg? I mean, sure, he doesn't have the metal plating, but it's Cyborg.
And he's black.
Oh, look,
I mean, it's close enough. I mean, you know, maybe not as black as we'd want him. He's kind of a light kind of black, but still, you know, they're getting there.
Well, baby steps, right?
Yeah.
And then you get, I mean, it's Smallville, so it's a small town, so, you know, they're not as progressive as we'd like them to be. But, and then you get to, you know, there was like an episode, like, there were some characters, like some deep cut characters they really threw in there. Like Starman was in the beginning of an episode just to die, but still, the fact there's an idea for Starman, and they're chasing down the icicle, and they started bringing in all these other DC characters, and then you hear that Oliver Queen was kind of his sidekick for a while, and he was like a major character of the show, like Green Arrow was. So you don't get a show like Arrow without having him being a main character in Smallville for like the last half of the series.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those ones. There is like that still is like stacks on top of each other to kind of get to where we are now. And I think sometimes you always got to appreciate where something comes from. Maybe if you don't necessarily go back and watch the whole thing, at least you kind of understand that was the baby steps getting to where we are nowadays, where now we have more choices than we can even possibly watch. You know what I mean? There's like no way you can keep up with all these shows. I mean, I guess somebody does, but
I'm not gonna lie. There are seasons I just trudged through, and like episodes I trudged through, and it was one of those things. It went from being this show I would like sit down and watch because I saw the season sets for very cheap, like $10 a season set. So I just started. Okay, I'll relive part of my childhood. I remember, I like this. I didn't like this. I did like this. I didn't like that. And then just kind of trudging through it, and then just putting it on in the background while I work on something, and being their episodes like, oh, Clark, quit being such a pussy. Just tell Lana. She's gonna fall into she's always attacked by the freak of the week anyway, so just fucking tell her already. But then, as it goes on, though, you get more characters from the DC universe, and at the time, it seemed like, oh my god, it's actually become, like, they show the Legion of Doom in, like, one of the last episodes, and you see, like, Black Manta, Solomon Grundy, Captain Cold, and Toyman. For some reason, Toyman's fucking leading it, but yeah.
Of course.
And maybe 2 or 3 other characters that kind of got by. Oh, Metallo. Maybe 2 other characters that kind of got by me, but at the time, I was just like, Legion of Doom in live action! Now I'm just like, oh, yeah, Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I know, but like there was a time period where that would have blown your mind.
That would have blown your mind, seeing the Legion of Doom in live action for the first time. But now, it's one of those things like, oh, yeah, well, there's like 3 other versions of Legion of Doom. There's one on, like, Arrow. They're fighting the League of Assassins, and then there's just... Well, that was another thing that pissed me off about Smallville is they would always mention Gotham City, and they would always, like... They'd frequently mention Gotham City, and Batman villains would actually come into the show, but they never mentioned Bruce Wayne or Batman. They lightly mentioned Bruce Wayne. Like, the character Chloe, that lady, the actress was involved in a lot of, like, sex cult shit, her character was gone for a while, then came back. Like, where were you? Like, well, I was meeting other heroes like you. It's like, how many are there? Too many to count, but there's 2 that stood out to me. They're on your level. One, keep in mind, this is that period where they're trying to, like, get it across without actually saying it, but it's still, like, kind of, like, cringy. Like, I met a wondrous woman and a baddie billionaire with a lot of cool toys.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Okay.
I like how there was a time period where that was the cool thing for them to do, or at least they thought that was, like, in movies and TV shows, was like the beat around the bush answer.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, the last time I think I saw it was in, like, The Incredible Hulk, when he's all like, if you take the serum, it could turn you into an abomination.
Yeah, I like how, like, they've mostly been pretty good about getting past it. Every once in a while, they'll kind of have it, or they'll sort of, like, joke at it. But it's like those ones I'm kind of glad that for the most part they can just go like, yep, just 100%, like, this is what they are, this is who they are, we don't need to go any farther than that.
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes, I mean, I get, probably don't want him to come in and say, I am the Green Goblin! But there's, like, ways to get it in there without that, right? I mean, I don't think Spider-Man had that too much, but there are other ones. Like, what was the one, like, I'm just, like, you'd have something like, shit, what was it? There was one that was really bad. There was like I think it was like Gotham season 1, which is like, he's your little penguin. Like, don't call me that. You look like a penguin.
Yeah, they had that in there. And that's the other thing too, is then there's like the other thing they do is where they do the thing where it's like, he's the penguin, and then, like, for some reason the penguin's like, I don't want to be called the penguin. That's a terrible name. It's like, I don't know why they like to do that too, where they, like, almost put shame on, like, what the character's actual name is.
When he comes around and it warms up to it or whatever.
It was kind of like, here's a dark example. It's like, this kind of sounds a little bit different, but it was like, I think in, like, the Lone Ranger movie, when he at the very end,
what's the mask?
When he goes like, hi ho Silver, and then of course Johnny Depp's like, never do that. That's a terrible thing. Never say that again. And it's like, why? That's like his catchphrase. Like, why hate on, like, what somebody is? You know what I mean? Like, that seems stupid. Like, it's like, you could maybe say that joke, like, if it wasn't a Lone Ranger movie, but, like, if it's a Lone Ranger movie, who the fuck is there? You know what I mean? The people that like this stuff, And
that's what the movie goes out on. It ends out on that part.
Yeah, like, just making, it's almost like, I don't know, the idea of, like, making fun of, like, your own, like, self and audience and everything like that just seems kind of weird. It's like, no, the people that are here, like that. You know what I mean? They want to hear that. They want to see that, who you're trying to sell to, That it comes back to that, like, thing of trying to grab the other audience that doesn't like you in the first place, and it's like, I don't know why people always want to try to go after that audience. It's like, just let that audience be, you know what I mean? They'll have their own things and they can do their own stuff. Just focus on the people that actually like you.
I feel like there's a middle ground. I think there's some things you got to change and mix up, but then it comes back around to like, all right, you still got to pay tribute to the people who are actually here that really wanted to see this, not the people. They're just like, well, let's see what this is about, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But no, this Constantine movie, I really hope that this spawns even more Constantine stuff because I don't know, it's like I just thought it just so dialed in. And once again though, it's like I just think that Warner Bros. Need to figure out how to like, pretty much market these movies a lot better though. I like clearly if I didn't get an email from Warner Brothers telling me that that movie came out that day, I probably wouldn't have known about it unless I stumbled into a store. And also, it's like, why aren't the trailers on fucking, like, the other DCU movies? At the end of the day, it's like, I should have saw the trailer for this on Death of Superman. I should have saw the trailer for this on, Ray. I should have saw the trailer for this on, like, maybe even some of the other ones beforehand. Like, come on, it's like, I don't get, like, what Warner Bros. Is doing by, like, trying to hide sort of, like, different videos from each section. It's kind of weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were a little bit more worried about this one because it's a character like Constantine. It was kind of a horror movie, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was good, and what I kind of thought watching this thing, not just this movie, but other DC movies, other animated movies, if they really just kind of like. Because they've been struggling with the live action movies, and I'm hoping Aquaman kind of makes it a little bit more like focused in. And I mean, I'm not saying I dislike all the live action movies, but they've been having trouble just making them stick and kind of like trying to speed run and play catch up. I almost think they're like you said this before, but like the people making these animated ones get it way more clearly. I mean, just look at this team. I know we just kind of raised up the Keanu Reeves one. Well, look at that team who made that one compared to this one right here,
Yeah.
So...
Well, that's the thing. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like, if they would just stop doing they just still got that old world way of life. Well, these aren't movie people. These are animation people. Or these are comic book people. They're not real, storytellers. If they would just get past that. I don't know why it's still around. That stigma is still there. And it's like, they can't just kind of go like, hey, you know what? Probably the guys who are putting together these animated movies and putting together comic books probably know 10 times more about putting together a good story than any of the filmmakers you're grabbing. Just saying. You know what I mean? And you can hire all the technical crew you want. They'll fill in the blanks of all, all the specifications. Just get these guys in to do the story part and let them have 100% dictatorship of it.
Another thing to keep in mind is, when is the last time you saw John Constantine fuck a hot Mexican lady, and then she suddenly turns into a Spanish conquistador
with a big beard?
Yeah.
I don't know, but that right there was just amazing, Well,
because it's like, he's talking to, like, the spirit of Los Angeles. He bumps at some point because he goes to Los Angeles for this assignment to retrieve his friend's daughter's soul. And he's looking around for clues, and people get this weird look where they get this glazed over look for a second, and they just kind of stare at him, and then their eyes shine, and that kind of leads him to this bar, and he realizes that the spirit of Los Angeles can kind of take over anybody and kind of make him do whatever she wants. And she wants him to basically get rid of all the extra demons in the city. And out of that, she's like, I know all my history. She's flashing into different people, like some of the things that happen I am ashamed of, and she turns like some of like the civil rights stuff and people getting hurt and attacked during the protest and different things like that. And then some things I'm very proud for what we can accomplish, then she turns into like I think like a civil rights leader for a second, something to that effect, and just taking different forms. Partway through though, as she's talking about the history, while in the middle of fucking him, she turns into a big Spanish conquistador with a big bushy beard.
He had a big old gut and everything, too.
And she still has the lady voice.
Yeah. There's a part that I also think is really hilarious, too. When Constantine steps into that bar, he just, like, walks in, and it kind of just shows, like, some shots around the bar, and it just looks like the most, like, dankest, shadiest bar. It's just, like, a guy passed out, like, on the counter. It's just all dirty and filthy, and just looks like kind of, like, hoodlums and everything around there. Constantine goes to pull out a cigarette and light it. The bartender's like, "Hey, jackass!" And then he, like, points on over at the sign. It's like, no smoking. It's like, oh, he broke the rules there.
It's the small things like that.
Yeah, it's like it's got good humor in it. When Constantine's always kind of has that kind of good humor. Even like the few comics that I've always read, it kind of has like that good sort of dark humor where I just like how the character sort of is. It's a guy who does magic, but he's not like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'll use another example. You got like Harry Potter, of like, people using magic and everything. And Harry Potter always comes across like, because really, other than Harry Potter and Ron, everybody there is like the most upper class, richy rich of them all. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even know how Ron's only been in there just because it's like a legacy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Shit, they've been probably trying to find a clause in the contract to how to get Ron's family out of there. But it probably states somewhere, it's like, well, as long as they keep having kids. You know, and it's one of those ones, and even Harry Potter, too, it's like, he just happened to lose his parents and then live kind of like poor. But technically, even he's kind of like a higher up person. But what I like about John Constantine is it's just like, he's just like the low-end poor guy who happened just to learn magic on his own. He, you know, did it himself. Nope, he didn't pay for a fancy school. He didn't go to Hogwarts or some shit. You know, like, no, he just learned it on his own. He just did the punk rock way of doing it, and that's kind of how he goes. And, like, he lives his life kind of just in filth, in the darkest depths of the world. You know, he's just always smoking and drinking. I just love how in the movie, too, they keep it, like, he's always got a cigarette going the whole time. Because that's, like, nowadays, that's pretty much asking to be, like, a hardcore radar movie anymore. If you have a character that has a constant cigarette going anymore. Because people are just so anti-smoking for characters. And that, to me, is kind of one of those ones, like, okay, I get it in real life. Smoking's not that cool. But, like, in movies, it changes everything, you know what I mean? Like, when you have a character smoking in a movie, that like that kind of defines some of his personality. And I think it's stupid to like take that almost away, because it's like I don't think you get storytelling if you're trying to take that away then.
Well, the American Film Association does not get storytelling.
Well, yeah, it's just one of those ones. But it's just like, it's good just to see that John Constantine can always just be constantly like drinking and smoking and solving crimes and shit and doing magic.
Does he have cancer in the comics like he does in the Keanu Reeves movie?
I've never seen that before in the comics. And that almost sounds like one of those ones like, well, it's all the cigarettes he smoked, and that's why he has the cancer now. It all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say you couldn't see that at some point, but
well, the movie even changes the thing like he killed himself one time when he was a kid, but was brought back to life, and then for that reason he's marked, and that's actually how he learned magic in the first place. He was like born with it or some shit like that. Where I'm guessing the comics are probably, I'm guessing this movie probably, because I never read a Constantine comic before, other than times he popped in other people's books. But I actually have one volume of Justice League Dark, but I think that this one right here, I think this is probably more accurate, and I can totally see him being a member of a punk rock band and shit goes bad. Like, that wouldn't surprise you the least bit if that was out of a comic.
Oh, yeah. I'm guessing probably most of that stuff sort of is. And as I said, it's like, it's one of those ones, like, I just know I gotta go pick up some more. I just have I have the New 52 one, there's like volume 1 or whatever. Or maybe it's not even New 52. Shit, which one? Maybe it's like, can't remember. I got Rebirth, one. Constant. It might even be like the Rebirth one. I have that, and then I just have a couple of older, like, single issues, or sort of like those thicker single issues from back in the day. And that's it. But it's like one of those ones I'm like, I gotta pick up more Constantine, because it's just one of those ones like, you watch this movie, you watch the TV show and so on, Justice League Dark, such a good character. You know what I mean? I like how they kept that same actor playing him this whole time too, which is just awesome. I really hope they do more. And it's like one of those ones that feels like this movie right here, it's one of those ones like, it's a perfect example of a movie if you have one of those kind of people, not like maybe like an adult, but somebody who's a little bit younger, where they're like, oh, I fucking hate cartoons. This is almost the one where you could show them it and be like, see if you think cartoons are for kids after this movie. You know what I mean?
Well, there's the part when he goes, there's the one demon who's basically Harvey Weinstein, and he goes in there, and everybody, there's the room where you see people dancing kind of against their will, and then they just throws them into a movie screen. Like, I like the silent pictures, don't you? Throws it in there, and then like you see people, it just is like, lady screams in agony. You see people just getting tortured violently. Like the one lady gets her head bitten off, and then like shows the one guy like getting ripped apart by, like they're on strings by puppets, and the puppets start murdering like the guy or some shit like that.
Uh-huh.
Like it's one of those things where it just goes like, I'm surprised how violent this thing gets at times. Like there's even the part when I kind of lets you know right off the bat, because when like all the little mini Constantine comes out and he's flat out like kicking their heads off and killing them. So these are my inner demons like materialized as actual people, and then at the end he's like, holy shit, what if you survive? Like, want to hang out? Like, oh, I guess.
I also like those little demons because it reminds me almost like Army of Darkness, like when Ash is fighting the little ones of himself.
That's probably what it was a nod to.
But yeah, like right in that part too, he's just murdering those little demons right off the bat, just smashing them. And so I mean, the movie's just violent the whole way through. It's just, I don't know. It's like I feel like, obviously I'm not like a hardcore Constantine fan because I haven't read as many books, but I don't see how you could not be like just totally impressed with just like, here's your perfect Constantine movie. You know what I mean? Like, what more could you technically ask for past that? You know, just more movies. That's all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I kind of was watching this, wishing that like. The more I watch these DC Universe movies, I kind of just wish that some of them, like, all right, put them through a live action filter, and maybe some of them put on an extra 10 to 20 minutes to kind of pad them out, maybe give a little bit more of stories or characters you would like to see, possibly. I think there you got your perfect connected DC Universe live action series if you did that. Like, all right, let's say, you got to alter a few things around, but I'm okay with Man of Steel as is, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Take Dark Knight, probably take Batman Under the Red Hood, make that live action, throw a couple like extra 10 to 20 minutes in that. Take the Wonder Woman movie that came out, like I think it was like the third movie they did. Green Lantern First Flight. When I say the Green Lantern movie, the Wonder Woman movie, the one they did with the I think it was the second or third DC Universe movie they made.
Yeah.
Green Lantern First Flight. I don't know. You could probably take multiple ones of the different versions of the Justice League movies they did, and then on top of that, I don't know. This movie, Batman versus Robin, Batman and Son, Death of Superman was great. So it's like all these movies click in pretty well, and I'm just seeing like, God, you guys already have the perfect little DC universe. Just if only if it was live action, then you'd have something that really was competing with Marvel right now.
Well, it's just, I think what just bums me out is just the fact that it's like, okay, you got these guys that kill it pretty much like consecutively. Because here's the thing, the worst DCU movie is still a pretty good movie at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like the worst one that they've probably made, like out of all 30 plus ones they've done, is still like, you know, you would give it like a 2.5 out of 4. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like it's still something that like you would own and probably watch multiple times throughout life. So
I'd give Batman Ninja probably a 2.
Would you give that one a 2? And that one's that one's like sort of like the very, very like alternative one. Like, you know, I wasn't really thinking of that necessarily. And here's the thing, I still didn't dislike that one. I mean, like at the end of the day, I probably will watch it again at some point. I'm not saying it's like one of those ones where it's like that. It's just, that one was just that was going too hard. It was like tripling down on like the anime-ness of it and the Japanese culture, like beyond like what it should have done. But
I guess I wanted to see more of a Batman Ninja, not like Batman
mech battles.
What you expect an anime to be. That, you know what I mean? Like it just seemed kind of like, let's just double down on the anime and Batman shit. I'm like, oh, you could just do it. Like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird. Like, I don't know.
It felt like something that should have came out in like 1999.
The craziness of it was, I was okay with the craziness of it, but then we just get to like, where the monkey thing, like, oh, the monkeys combine together and turn gold and start fighting a giant, like, it's a big giant monkey fighting a giant Batman. Like,
you mean like where logic goes out the window?
It's like, yeah, I'm not looking for too much logic, but there's just some things where I'm like, okay, let's
pump the brakes there a little bit on that part. Yeah, let's at least a
little bit.
But yeah, it's like, okay, let's say once again, if that is like the worst of the DCU movies, you know, at the end of the day, like that's still like a higher bar movie than probably a lot of like live action ones. I'm not saying just DC, but just superhero movies in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely.
And granted, that's technically not like the DCU team. That's just a bunch of Japanese guys like trying to like assume that Americans have never seen Japanese culture before. I don't know who the hell they got over there in Japan. Like, have they not realized that Japanese stuff's been sold here in America for like the last 30 years?
Well, to kind of get lightly on that, apparently Jeff Johns, I know they've said his name a lot, working on like, oh, well, Jeff Johns will be overseeing stuff at DC, which I bet it was just him like, hey, put your name on this, sign that. Okay, go in the other room. Hey, what color is Green Lantern? Green. Cool. Thank you, John. All right, yeah, he helped. I'm moving on.
What color is Green Lantern? Green? Are you sure about that? It doesn't look green to me.
Why do we have the one producer who's colorblind?
But just, I literally think, because Jeff Johns' name's come up on movies and TV shows for like the last like 10 plus years, I clearly do not think that they really allow him in the room though. I think he's just there. He's like the token comic book guy who like they give a lollipop to and tell him to go sit in the waiting room while the big boys talk.
I get that vibe too, but at the same time, I heard, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true. I haven't even done any research into it. I just kind of overheard this when I was going to pick up my comics today, and I was talking to the guy behind the counter about it. Apparently, Aquaman is partially written by Jeff Johns. So I'm hoping that's the case.
Well, the Aquaman movie does look pretty fucking dialed in. Like,
I'm actually gonna look that up right now while we're talking about it.
You know, like when I every single time I see that trailer, I go, shit. I think 'cause since it's Aquaman, they got to go balls to the wall. You can't you can't do like a Venom movie. You know what I mean? You have to go a distance, because if they did something where they just kind of sort of lightly did it or try to do it like simple style, you would just screw it over and you'd never have Aquaman ever again. So I think you have to go as hardcore Aquaman as you possibly can, or else it's all or nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's see. 5 writing credits here. David Leesman, John McGoldrick. This is all screenplay. Will Beal. Okay, then we got story by Jeff Johns, James Wan, Will Beal. So, all right. I was hoping to see written by, but story by.
Yeah, because story by also means like, hey Jeff, what color's Aquaman's pants? Oh, yeah, that's great. Okay, you go back there.
What color's Black Manta? Cool. All right. They just ask him these.
What if Black Manta was an Asian? You know, what do you think about that, Jeff? Good. We don't want that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like, I don't know, that's a little bit saviorous, but here's the thing. I've seen Jeff Johns' name like that before, so, I mean, once again, who knows? I still think Aquaman's gonna be badass. I mean, here at the end of the day, I will be really surprised if I don't really like Aquaman. I'm just gonna say that, because really, even the DCU movies, they're not perfect, but they still haven't let me down, really, other than maybe the second half of, like, Suicide Squad, but beyond that, that's still not, like, a terrible movie.
I know that I think it was Craig who said it when he came on the show. I'm not sure if it was comic books. I wasn't sure if it was Indie Comics Club or our show, but he said something to the effect of like Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck. I mean, maybe he was a story he heard somewhere. I don't know if I heard the story myself or not, but Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck worked on a script together for that Batman movie, and since Warner Brothers turned it down, that's one of the reasons why Ben Affleck stepped down as Batman altogether. So it's one of those things, when Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck work together on Batman and you still turn that shit down.
Well, it's just like,
that's just kind of fucking ridiculous to me. That's just really fucking ridiculous. Because what Ben Affleck do? I mean, you could say what you will about him as in movies he's acted in or whatever, but as a director, okay, he did. I mean, the Wheel in the Night, not the Wheel in the Night. The what's the mobster movie?
Oh, All Through shit, I own this movie. God, and that's an amazing movie too.
Well, that movie, even though it didn't do good, apparently didn't do good, you still have 3 movies that are critical darlings. One of them won an Academy Award, and people like him already as Batman. They're like dismissive at first, like, oh wow, he is a good Batman. And then you got Jeff Johns, a guy who actually knows his shit about this, and you turn it all down for like, what the fuck do they know better? You're gonna tell me you know more than Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns. Ben Affleck grew up reading comics. Jeff Johns works in comics. Ben Affleck's a director. It boggles my fucking mind.
Well, let's think too. It's like, just think about like even Ben Affleck's career, like in the last 10 years. Like, he kills it like 90% of the time, if not more. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there was that momentary period where everybody wanted to hate on Ben Affleck, and I still liked all his movies at that time period. But like, he's really like in the last 10 years is like just knocked it out of the park every single time, just about. So it's like, why do you got a second, like that? This second guessing thing, I think, is probably because I bet you, like in the animated world, there's probably not as much second guessing of each other. You know what I mean?
These fucking nerds will pay for it. Just throw it out there. They'll always fucking buy it.
And I think it's too. It's like also, you know, because those animated movies are made for like what, like anywhere between like $2 to $10 million. So there's not that much money riding on them. So they probably don't have to have so much. I think it's what you get to these $100 million movies. Is there, especially when they're even more than that, is that there's just too many people like looming over each other's shoulders, and that's what screws it up. You almost really. There's something to be said about the Japanese style, or at least the way they used to do it. I'm not too sure if they still do it, but what they used to do in the olden days, when it goes for movies or video games or what have you, is the director was 100% in control. that was just how it was. Like the reason why they got the director is because they said, nope, that's it. That's 100%. We chose him for a reason, you know, or her, or what have you. You know what I mean? Like let them make all the creative decisions. And I think there's something to really be said about that, you know? I mean, granted, I guess you can always get those one directors who like start like, they don't have any concept of how money or like things work or, you know, workforces or, you know what I mean? Those people that get like, they have all these creative ideas, but they don't have any like logic to base them behind.
Yeah, no, I
always feel those are the directors that mostly screw it up for like the, you know, the rest of us, but
does Ben Affleck seem like one of those directors?
No, I mean, those directors are few and far between, I think, too. I don't think they were, well, maybe not as few and far between, but I think for the most part, when you have, like, a track record, good director, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, if you got somebody like Steven Spielberg, does Steven Spielberg really screw things up? No, not really. No, unless he brings those kids in for Tom Cruise and, fucking War of the Worlds. Other than that, though, like, that was the only bad decision I've ever seen Steven make.
Dakota Fanning and White Goku? Yeah.
Exactly. I bet you Steven wakes up in the middle of the night and thinks about how bad of a decision that is.
Man, I should have those kids die in the movie.
Right off the bat, they should have just got smashed. You know, maybe like fucking Tom Cruise throws that baseball at his son, and the baseball explodes, and it just kills the kid. And then Tom thinks it's the baseball, but then he turns and sees it's a giant tripod behind him.
The daughter says, "Daddy, what is that?" The foot comes down, crushes her, and now it's Tom by himself.
Yeah, Tom literally takes the girl and just spin chucks her around like fucking Donkey Kong and Smash Brothers, and throws her up at the tripod.
I like how that's how like Steven explains it to a bunch of studio execs.
You guys ever played fucking Smash Bros before? Well, let me tell you, like when you're Donkey Kong and you grab somebody and you spin around, or hell, Mario as well too. I guess Donkey Kong doesn't spin around; it's Mario that spins around. Shit.
Sorry, I blinked out for a minute. Anyway, so Mario spins this bitch around right into the tripod, and Tom likes to run. Every movie he's running, he has to have his hands out like the T-1000, T2. So they make a little nod to Cameron. So he's just gonna be running. This is just gonna be 2 hours of Tom Cruise just running from a fucking tripod. Let's fucking do this. Like,
be amazing.
Steven's really into this.
He's just got like he's like Bob, bring the tripod out. He just brings a camera tripod out. It's like, okay, like now you got to use your imagination here, but picture this.
He grabs like an action figure.
Yeah, just like a video tripod.
Okay, so it's like, no, Steven, we get the idea. So then it comes in like that. All right, Steven, we get the idea. And then that's when he goes like, where's the you got the little girl figure, grabs the things. It's like that's when he spins her around like this. Boom!
But yeah, it's just
this is how Steven actually gets all his movies made. He's just like they just want the meeting to be over, so they just agree to it until who's gonna say no to Steven?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody says no to Steven. You know.
Now imagine that for Schindler's List. Like then this guy right here, he has the action figures. This could have saved 4 more. This could have saved 4 more. This guy over here starts to make him feel better. They all start to hug him, and they get in the car and they just a wheelie on the way out. Like
gotta have some cool action in there. You know what I mean? You can't have too much sadness without action.
I know he's sad that all these Jews just died, but he's got to do a wheelie on the way out, just to lift people's spirits up. It's like it's a metaphor.
And then he says a wheelie for Moses as he takes off. We cut the credits. Hard rock song plays.
Do we have any licensing deals with Guns N' Roses right now? Maybe if we want to go a little bit more subtle and artsy, we can end this on November Rain.
I want to see that Schindler's List recut right there. Schindler's List with music by Guns N' Roses.
Just is that old 1940s car like drives away, just does a wheelie, makes like a horse noise, all of a sudden freeze frame, like Guns N' Roses plays, credits roll over it.
Oh.
You don't have the nice tasteful thing at the end where they're all going and putting a rock on Schindler's grave in Israel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that'd be amazing. But
there's your Academy Award winning ending right there.
There it is. That's my kind of ending, I tell you what. But no, yeah. I just hope that DC just I hope that they're able just to finally get these movies we've enjoyed them, but I hope they just get to that next level where not only making just a badass, just on, it's as accurate as you can get, but to top it off, it's hopefully just everybody fucking digs it. And I think the key thing they just really need to do is stop thinking they know what to do at Warner Brothers and just let the guys who like work on this day in and day out like come on in and like make some decisions here.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you could hear like just anyone from Kevin Smith to Joe Rogan talk about like in pitch meetings when they're working on something, how there's people who don't really have anything, but they got to throw something in there just to justify their existence, that job.
And that just comes down to like, it's like, that's always like one of those ones where it's like, that almost like kind of detracts from like the creative process is when you start having like some of those like business things getting in the way, you know what I mean? It's like, I know that it's still like a business making movies and all kinds of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's the business part should almost come second. Like once you already have a solid piece of like creative material, then you use business to market it and get it out there. You know, don't let that business kind of come in between the creative stuff, or else that just jacks things up.
Yeah. So hopefully DC learns that and takes a cue from these animated movies, which they get.
Yeah, and now for those anime movies. See, nowadays, now I don't even know, these anime movies keep coming out. Like, shit, that Ray one only came out like a month before Constantine, and it was only like, what, like 2 months before for like the Superman one, or a month before for Superman? It wasn't even that, like, long ago that one came out. Like, now they're just like cranking these things out like nobody's business.
Maybe there's a hierarchy. Maybe people work on the main DCU movies. They're kind of like how people and people get all kind of like, oh, those are the animation guys. What if the animation guys like, oh, those are the animation Berlanti guys?
Well, I know there's.
I doubt it though.
There's sort of like, because nowadays there's a couple different like teams you can kind of tell that do like the DCU animation stuff. So they're able to cycle them, and they probably got a bunch of teams now, and that's why they're doing like 6 movies a year. It seems like.
They're all still pretty good, so that's always good.
Yeah, I mean, like, even the Ray one. The Ray one was probably one of the weaker ones. Maybe it's just because I just wasn't, like, nearly as interested in, like, the characters. I thought the Nazi Supergirl thing was kind of cool, and they had, like, Nazi Arrow and Flash. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat, you know, but...
Like, alternate world or alternate history kind of thing?
Yeah, they have, like, alternate worlds, like the Nazi world, which always sounds kind of, like, generic when I hear that on paper, but, like... You know, it's like, and then there's the Soviet world, and then there's the Martian Manhunter world. It just sounds like a kid trying to, like, tell you about, like, all the different...
Then there's Dog World.
Yeah. And then there's Buffalo Springfield world.
There's Tractor World, where everybody's a tractor. Like, oh, this is going to go on for a while.
How many worlds do they say? There's 173 worlds I created. But like, I don't know what it is, like whenever you just get like those kind of like generic like across the boards, like this is the nuts.
This one's tape dispenser world.
You know,
like, all right,
its big rival is the duct tape world and the Gorilla Glue company. Where it's like, why does he have all these company worlds? He's like, well, I need to get some sponsors for my worlds.
It's like, okay, all right. How many are there? They just slowly go out. They slowly like creep out behind him. He just goes on. You know what? I don't know why, but Nazi World is actually sounding kind of more interesting right now. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, let's go back to Nazi World. Okay, so there's a Supergirl who's a Nazi. Oh, jeez, does he have to keep talking like this? But
he's the producer's kid. We have to put him at least one in every 15 meetings.
Exactly. But I mean, I'll say this: the Ray's still worth like checking out. But it might be kind of like if there was a one-time watch DCU movie, it's probably that one. I mean. It's not bad, but it's not super exciting. I don't know. Maybe if you're more like, if you know more about this Ray character, because there's a bunch of characters that like I did not know, except for like, oh, there's Red Tornado, and then like 10 minutes into it, he's dead. I'm like, well, there goes the one guy I know.
Fun. Well, the Ray, I know of him because he's in Justice League of America right now, because that's just a bunch of like, it's kind of like a bunch of oddball characters that I like, but Ray's like the one like, who the fuck's this guy again? Because it's like Justice League of America at the moment. It's Batman, it's Lobo, it's Vixen, Black Canary, the new Adam, and Ray. And Ray's the only guy I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, he just reminds. Oh, I don't know. He's not a bad character, but he must be like a very brand new character. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been around for that long, or else I feel like I would have really known who he was.
I feel like he's one of those random characters, just got an update, kind of like a Blue Beetle.
He might be. Yeah, it could be that too. I'm not too sure. And I don't know if they're trying to give him like the PC twist where it's just like, hey, he's the token gay guy, you know, because that's sort of how that movie feels. Like, it doesn't just feel like, oh, he happens to be gay. It just feels like, hey guys, he's gay. And then remember there was a part like in the movie too where like he's like, oh man, I gotta tell my parents, you know, like, but they're kind of conservative. What if they just don't understand? And then there's a part where he's like, he's at home and he's like, you know, Mom, I just gotta tell you. She's like, it's okay, son. I get it like that. And then all of a sudden there's this loud thud upstairs. And all I thought was like, what's that? It's like, oh, it's your father. He must have overheard our conversation.
You're like running down the stairs. Like,
no, son of mine! I mean, like, it was so perfectly timed. Like, he told the mom that they just hear, like, crashing and stuff upstairs. Of course, it turns out to be Nazi Supergirl shows up. But other than that, though, that was, like, the first thing I thought was just the dad. Because they just gotta have the dad, like, is like so, you know, your brother was in the military, you know? Also was star quarterback. You could have been that, too. Too bad you're not. Yeah, Daddy.
I'm just saying.
Well, I like to work at offices. Of course you like to work at offices. Not like your brother now. You know, he's dead, but still he's my favorite son. Just wanted to let you know. Don't you ever forget that. Don't you ever.
Let me put it this way. I still enjoy his company hanging out by gravestone all day. Rather than I do talking to you right now.
Yeah.
You know, you just got your hands. They're too soft.
Yeah, you know, what do you do all day? Don't you got staples or something? Something like a little bit rough you can kind of put your hands around and grip, you know? Don't they got a jackhammer sitting around there somewhere you can kind of pull out and use on your lunch breaks or something?
Just get a little of the man out, you know? We only get a little bit of man out every so often. No, I didn't even really know that he was gay from reading the comic. Maybe he is, and I missed that. But
that could be an
Killer
Arrow
Frost.
thing.
Killer Frost is also a member of that team. Forgot to mention, she's a good guy now apparently, but she works in the comic. What was I gonna say? What he seems like to me, that character, Nova was Marvel's answer to Green Lantern, and Ray seems like DC's answer to Nova.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like, because that's how he sort of feels. He just feels kind of like, I don't know, because if he is a really old character, it would make kind of sense, because his powers just seem very, like, sort of simple. You know what I mean? It feels like a 1950s character. It's just, once again, I just never heard of him. And I don't know if, like...
He flies, and he has, like,
flies,
light
shoots
powers
beams
and
shit, and he's got a gold suit on. I don't know.
I like how I put in, the first thing I go to Google, I say, Ray DC C, type in comics, says, Ray DC Comics movie, Ray DC Comics gay.
It's just the first thing, like, gay Ray. Yo, what's up, gay Ray?
First, he's not that old of a character. Or at least this version of him. Let's see. First appearance, February 1992. But I see a cover here that looks like it's something out of the fucking, like, 40s. So, I don't know. Maybe they revamped him at some point. Let me just click on his Wikipedia. Ray Terrell. Let's see here. Maybe just that version of him. But he goes back to, says February 1992. Nova was, I know Green Lantern was around longer than Nova, but Nova DC and Marvel Comics, he's probably, I'm just going to assume somewhere in the 80s, maybe the 70s. What the fuck? Computer? Okay, whatever. Anyway, okay, Nova Marvel. I just want to figure this out right now before I forget. Marvel. Nova is 1976. That's after, that makes sense.
Huh.
Because that is definitely after Green Lantern.
Yeah, and that's almost like right when Green Lantern kind of had like a sort of comeback, and, you know, Green Arrow was showing him the ropes and everything like that.
Yeah, so, yep. I'm just guessing that's what he is, but 1992 doesn't seem that old.
No,
but still,
it actually still seems older than I thought, though. I really thought this character was like brand new. Like I was gonna guess like last couple of years, but as I said, it's still an interesting movie. It's not that it's like, it's not bad. It's just, I don't know. Maybe if you're really more invested in the character, it wasn't like one of those ones, like, you know, sometimes when you watch something and you know really nothing about the character, like, because I was almost hoping for like a Guardians of the Galaxy experience when I was watching Ray, and I didn't get that, so maybe I put my bar a little bit high on there. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fucking badass. I don't know anything about this character. I'm gonna learn so much, and it's just like, oh, well, he's got kind of, you know, beam powers, and he's, you know, 36 and still not telling his parents that he's gay, but, you know, still accepting the mashed potatoes.
His mom figured it out a long time ago.
Like, son, well, she even has a line. She's like, well, I kind of knew it once, you know, you weren't bringing any pretty girls home.
Well, there's also what was it? It was kind of funny because I'm reading the comic and, you know, Batman is like, there's some people who really agree with Batman then because Batman's always the guy calling most of the shots on the team, and Vixen is the one who's kind of like mother hen to everybody.
Does she literally turn into a mother hen and use like the?
It just turns into a big like hand, just like gathers everybody together,
and everybody all like kind of scrunches up next to her.
She puts her wings over them, like does like that soft cooing noises that hens make. Yeah. You gotta let her do that. It's just her motherly hen instincts. But Lobo's like, I'm fine with it. Yeah, done weirder shit than this. No, but
come on, Ray. Come on, Ray. Come on next to us. You're sure a beer, you know. I mean, I know you're not into like the women and all, but that's okay. I'm Lobo. I'm from space. I like the fucking party.
I ain't gay. I just like to party, that's all.
Exactly. Shit. You know what I mean?
There are no boundaries in space.
You know?
In a place without boundaries, you need a hero without limits. I stole that from Valerian, but, you know, I like to think, don't tell no one.
Yeah, you know, Valerian, you know, where, like, you know, a guy fucks his sister all the time. Shit, I saw that movie.
I think that's what it's about. Are they brother and sister? I don't know.
Brother and sister, I know they're fucking. You know, you can just see in their eyes. They look at each other. It's a French thing. You wouldn't understand, Ray.
Look, I killed it. I killed an entire planet in a science fair just to prove a point. Who am I to judge sister fucking?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's what you do when you're in space. You just do shit you wouldn't normally do when you're on Earth. You know?
Oh, good. I think she fell asleep. No, but like, but fucking, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh yeah, well, no, it always happens in a way where, like, Batman just, like, you know, they'll like, meet somebody, and Batman's like, I don't trust it, but we'll let it happen from now on, and Ray's like, Batman is being such a dick. He just can't trust people. He's on this team about helping people and doing teamwork, but he doesn't trust humanity. And this and that, shit goes bad. Batman's right. Like, but he already knew. I used to look up to Batman. Well, was Batman right? Well, yeah, Batman was right. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Shut the fuck up, boy.
Yeah. Go use your light hands on some shit.
Yeah. How about you go be the human microwave for me and go whip up some, you know, microwave popcorn.
Go use your heat hand vision shit on on this microwavable devour meal.
Yeah, here you go. Here's some Uncle Ben's rice. I want you to go heat that up and make yourself useful.
I just want to say this. Those ads for Devour, I hate those ads so much because it would just be like, I'd be listening to like some long podcast on YouTube and it just abruptly cuts to the ad. And that's a YouTube thing. I get that. But for a while, the Devour ads, before they had the whole Deadpool thing, it was a guy.
Are the Devour ones those like chimichanga things that Deadpool was like hustling?
That was like one version of it, but there was the like ads like it was just for microwavable dinners that were just like, oh, bacon macaroni and cheese, or oh, like jalapeno grilled cheese sandwiches, all this, like, you know, just like this kind of like what sounds kind of like almost like truck, like food truck food, but for a microwave essentially. But anyway, the ad will always start every time with a guy going, Devour. It's like, you just be listening like Joe Rogan talk to Elon Musk or some shit, and then just like, Devour mac and cheese. Like, what the fuck? And it just starts to play porn music. Like, oh, okay.
I mean, I know it's Google, and if anybody has their ad thing like dialed in as much as anybody else, you think Google would, but it makes me always laugh at like the ads that they choose for like different videos on Google or on YouTube, because like, it's funny, you could be watching a workout video and they'll have stuff like that. It's like, I don't know if that's either really good marketing or terrible marketing. You know what I mean? Like, because you're either going to catch the guys like, oh, I better lose some weight. Let's see what this guy has to tell me how to do some push-ups. And then it's just like, Fuck those push-ups, man. Get yourself a Devour right now. What the fuck are you doing? You want to get on the ground and sniff it a bunch of times going up and down, or you want to get yourself some mac and cheese with some like chimichangas stuffed into it? You know, just
covered in ranch dressing.
Yeah, exactly. And barbecue sauce too. Fuck it. Put it all in there. Shit, come on down to 7-Eleven. Fuck this workout video nonsense. Devour. And then the guy, you know what I mean? Like, it's either the greatest marketing or the worst marketing, but it's like, I love that where it's like, Pop-Tarts or something like that is like always on all the workout video stuff. It's like here's like, to me it would just feel like you're advertising to people that are not gonna buy this whatsoever. Why is it like always on there? Or like
I always get, for a long time I was getting ads for CRTV. It's like, why is this shit popping up? Like fucking alt-right television network type shit. I'm like,
when you said CRTV, that's an old-fashioned TV. I was like, what? You're getting an advertisement? I was like, oh, you know what? You know, some people might say that HD is the new thing, but fuck them. That's phooey. You should come on down to Bob's Old Television Store and get yourself the old-fashioned tube TV, American-made, the way God intended. Hi, I'm old Bob. He's just like walking down like the aisle, like, and yes, I custom make all these TVs, and you know what? There's something nice about, you know, an old-fashioned CRTV. Starts petting it and everything like that. You know,
nice wooden finish.
Yeah, you know, you got the wood, got the little dresser drawers in there. You know,
dial goes up to 12.
You know, and every TV comes with a free UHF antenna.
Come on down to Bob's TVs, right down next to Michelle's barbecue cookout.
You know, and keep in mind, you know, kids always love a light gun, and light guns only work on a CRTV. Don't let those leftists take your guns away. Come on down to Bob's CRTV store.
We're closed on Sunday. That belongs to the Lord.
Yeah. And if you don't believe it, fuck you. Get the fuck out of my store. That's Bob.
Get out! Go on! Get out! Starts attacking the fucking camera. Just runs at him.
I thought that's what you're getting ads for.
No, I'm getting ads for, like, you know, fucking, like, Gavin McGinnis and fucking Steven Crowder, or whatever his name is. Like,
the political fucking, ads?
Well, it's like kind of made to be, like, the young, hip, conservative network. And it's just like, I don't want to get on a big political tangent, but my thing is, I'm fairly left-leaning, but the second you actually have, like, because it's meant to be, like, conservative TV or whatever, it's like, the second you put, like you know, I'm fairly left-leaning, but the second you put, like, the leftist channel, I'm like, all right, well, I already know what way you guys are steering this, so I can't really trust it immediately, you know? It's already kind of, like, leaning one way more. You're already kind of admitting what this thing favors. So the second you get a bunch of, you know, fucking just people complaining that, oh, why is Black Panther not have more white people in it, you know?
Yeah, I'm just surprised Black Panther has 2 white people in it. That just kind of throws me off. Like, how these guys get sucked into Africa?
Well, one of them got killed and dragged there. The other got, like, kind of kidnapped, but it was for his own good.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's so weird, just, like, the advertisements that they have. And that's what makes kind of having the YouTube Red kind of nice, though. Like, when I had, like, those 3 months of it for free, I was like, you know, there's something to be said about this YouTube Red, just not having to watch the fucking commercials.
I might just get YouTube Red just because I'm tired of, like, all the fucking stupid fucking ads I get. Especially, it's just like, ugh.
It's definitely worth it if you're using YouTube like at least every day. I'd say it's kind of like a must. It's kind of like whenever you see people that don't have fucking Spotify Premium or something like that, and you almost want to like reach across the room and slap them. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you listen to this shit every day and you listen to goddamn commercials. You're like, it's only $10. Come on, get it.
Well, Spotify Premium. Well, Spotify also has some of the worst ads. Plus that little ding, 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 ding. With Spotify Premium, you can. It's like, all right, I'll buy it. Just stop fucking talking.
Yeah, exactly. You know, or I hate those kind of ads. I know it's going off like tangents, but I hate those kind of ads where you go to like pause it on like YouTube or whatever. It's like, oh, don't worry, we'll wait for you.
We're not going anywhere. Just kind of stands there, crosses his arm. So anyway, devour sandwiches. Like, all right.
Yeah, I don't really want one of those. That doesn't sound good. Well, okay, if you don't like devour, we got your right-wing TV. All right-wing, all the time, with young, hip cats.
You know they're hip because we call them cats.
You know, and we spelled it with a K and a Z.
That's not too black, is it? We don't want to scare people
Yeah,
off.
wait, hold on, wait a second. Maybe that's a bad idea. Oh shit, the ad's already out. We're doing this live? Fuck. Oh god, we can't say fuck on here.
Go back to Bob's CRT.
Go back to him.
He's still at the camera, like, go on, get the fuck out, get the fuck out. Oh shit, he hasn't left.
Yeah, I don't really remember what happened there, but you know, Constantine was fucking
Constantine's
awesome.
good. There you go. Constantine's good. DC's good. Warner Brothers needs to stand the fuck back and let them do their magic. Let DC do their magic.
Exactly. Hopefully, you know, Aquaman will be totally awesome, and then whatever the hell else we get for our next DCU movie, because I don't even know anymore. I feel like I used to know what was going on, and now I don't know what's going on anymore, because now it's just, they just make so many of them and have such limited advertising on them, so I'm so confused.
Well, Batman Hush will be happening. I think it's the one, I might be wrong, but I want to say it's the one after Superman, I'm guessing at least, because I know they mentioned that at the last Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably going to be the next, like, DCU, like, their main ones will be, like, the Death of Superman Part 2, and then it'll probably be maybe something else in between, and then probably Batman Hush or something like that, but nothing but good times ahead for all the good old DCU stuff, and just fun things all around. Just a good time period of media, you know, you can't go wrong there. When people are just handing out stuff left and right that's just fantastic, what the hey, you know? Gotta like that kind of stuff. But till next time, you can check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, cartoons, music, all that fun stuff. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time. Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange Podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boys on either Comix Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comix Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boys Comic. Thanks again, we're out of here.